Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us for the webinar. Just a couple of things. As Richard said a moment ago, everyone is muted. So there are two options to talk to people. There's a chat option where you can talk with either the panelists, which are myself or Richard, or you can talk with other attendees by text. And then there's a Q&A box. So we're asking that if you have any questions, that you put them in the Q&A box, and then we will get to all of them within this hour, hopefully. And the session is also being recorded. So we're going to send out the recorded link to everyone when we're done. So if people need to refer back to it. So if you have any questions, again, put them in the Q&A box. It should be on the right side of your screen. If you don't see it, it might be minimized. So make sure that you expand that area. If you have any questions, please let us know.
Great, thank you, Fran. If you want to test it out, if you want to kind of enter a test question in there, feel free. Just let us know that it's a test question if you want to get the hang of it. But yeah, again, thanks everyone for coming today. The goal of today is really to talk about the annual report, as we're calling the OER Degree Initiative Annual Report, and hopefully answer any questions that you have about it. Talk a little bit about it, the context of it, how we're approaching it, some of the details, and then answering any questions that you have about the format or submission, things like that. So I'm gonna go over the, do some introductions and updates, do a kind of brief overview of the report. Then we'll go over section by section of the report so we can look at the individual components of it, and then talk about deadlines, submission process, and then we'll have a Q&A. So be sure to get your questions in before we get to that point, if I'm not hitting the stuff that you want to know about. So let's go ahead and get started. Couple of just kind of news updates, and certainly Fran, if I've left something off here, you can let me know. And if any of you have any kind of updates, you can enter them into the chat or into the chat to let everybody know. So we have the first OER Degree Initiative report has been, well, there's basically two reports. There's an interim report that's more detailed and I would say more statisticky, that's pretty much ready, and we're beginning to, we've shared it with our funders, and we're gonna be sharing it with all the grantees relatively soon, if not today or maybe tomorrow. That's talked about the initial implementation of the OER Degree Initiative. So it's the results of the initial, there's an instructor survey that was done back in December, administrative instructor survey. There was data collection from both the research partner colleges as well as all the institutions, collecting just basically course data. But the report focuses on early kind of initial implementation of the project, and there's some useful things I think in there. There's useful information for us here at ATD and our partners, and I think you'll find it useful too. There's going to be a public report release coming up. Did we change that date, or is it still the Fran, remind me?
That's correct. That's correct. The 28th. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that'll be kind of a broader, it's a little more limited report, kind of scaled down for public consumption. That's going to be released behind a little bit of a media push there, and so we'll probably be reaching out to your public information officers if we know them to maybe help amplify that. Another kind of big piece of news, if you haven't heard on it already, is that both the CUNY and SUNY system in New York were given $8 million, so $4 million each for OER funding. Pretty loose criteria for that. And the work, they were awarded that in large part from their kind of successful work on this initiative and some of the early results that they've been getting, especially at some of the CUNY schools where they've had an enormous impact on a large majority of students. So there's other kind of rumblings around the country of kind of statewide initiatives. We're really interested in those. If you know if something's going on in your state that we need to know about, some talk about some policy changes or legislation or anything at a even at a system level, please let us know, and we'd like to follow that. But it's great news for New York State, which is follows California and big OER investments, and so hopefully we'll see more of that. I put some upcoming events. These are the ones that generally some of the things that I'm going to, and if you have an event or some presentation that you're doing in the next few weeks or a couple of months, let us know in the chat. So there's the Northeast OER Summit, which is at University of Massachusetts in Amherst. And CCC OER is having a webinar on building OER sustainability at your campus. So you might be interested in attending that webinar if you go to the CCC OER site. The New York, basically CUNY and is having what they're calling a drive-in conference of their community colleges at the Borough of Manhattan on the 16th, kind of a full day conference of New York community colleges. Saylor, which has been a player in kind of the OER for a long time. They're having a higher education summit on the 21st and 22nd, not specifically OER focused, it's kind of affordability focused, and kind of workforce in some ways too. And then in Texas, in Dallas, I forgot to put where that is, there's the Newton OER Summit. So there's a number of folks from around the OER community that'll be presenting there for some of the local Texas colleges. And then the release of the public report of the OER degree initiative is going to be on the 28th, and we're going to have a webinar to talk about that. If you, there'll be more details about that. We still got to work that out. We just confirmed the date. So that's some general stuff that's coming up. We certainly would like to hear about anything that you know of that you're going to be attending or presenting at, etc. All right. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the annual report, and I want to provide a little context to it. Here at ATD, we have to submit annual reports to our funders, just like you're submitting them to us. And here, I've been ATD a little over a year, and a lot of times we call these compliance reports. I think is a kind of a general term for it. I'm not thinking about this report specifically as a compliance report. I'm hoping to really balance making sure that finding out that you're on track for your goals for this project. We really want to find out now if your institution or if it's your consortium is hitting some barriers that we need to address or you need more support on. We'd like to know that sooner than later. So certainly we want to get a real clear understanding of the progress that you've made with your project. Warts and all, I think, again, this is also a learning process, I think. This is the largest OER initiative thus far. It's pretty big. It's 38 institutions. It's $9 million. It's 3 years. But there's a lot that we need to know and need to find out about this work and find out about. So the other kind of what we're balancing this kind of compliance idea with is trying to get an understanding of your institution, some of the challenges that you have, some of the successes, and some of the ideas that you have, kind of the ways you're approaching this project and working and thinking about the project in the long term. So I hope you and your team will approach it kind of with that mindset. Again, we're not saying anything goes. We certainly, you certainly need to cross the T's and dot the I's of everything. But that's not the only reason for this report. That's not the only use we're going to get out of it. We really want to find out from because we're not there, right? ATD, we were a step removed from some of the work that's going on. We're trying to make as many site visits as we can, but really we want to get a picture of what's happening on your campus and how it's going, and also want to know ways that we can redirect support or add support or share successes with other institutions to make it easier for them. So again, that's that's the attitude I hope you'll take going into this, as not really trying to necessarily produce a report that you think is going to please us more, but one that's going to kind of reflect a really kind of accurate idea of what's going on in your project, and something that we can use that information for and respond to. And we'll get the reports, and we're going to kind of go through them, review them. We might do some follow-up with some of the institutions. Hopefully, we'll share something about them. Again, I'm assuming we're gonna hear stuff that we'll be able to respond to directly, whether it's project-wide or for individual institutions. But if there's anything in these reports that would be beneficial to everybody, as far as approaches or some successes or ways of promoting on campus, then we'll certainly follow up with everyone on those. A quick note that that wasn't really addressed in the report, which is, what do you do if you're part of a consortium with this report? And so what I'll say is, we'd like individual colleges, for the project narrative, individual colleges to complete reports individually. So if you're a part of a consortium, you'd still, each college in that group would complete a project narrative. The project lead for the consortium, so the person that's been tapped to kind of hold together the colleges in that consortium, we'd like to ask them to just complete the section A, the project summary, with kind of an overview of the consortium work, things that you want to pull out of each individual college report, or something that gives a good kind of overview of the system work, or a system perspective. For the budget, the budget should be, the easiest thing for the budget is to reflect kind of your original submitted budget. So for example, I think Virginia had, correct me if I'm wrong, Cheryl, but individual budgets for each of their colleges, where some of the consortium colleges had a kind of a single budget. So whatever makes the most sense from your original budget, we'd like to just kind of update that. And with the budget, what we're looking for is, if you're on track, you're kind of spending as anticipated, you just reflect that in your budget and your narrative. If you've made changes, if you've kind of had to kind of adjust things, many of you have talked to me about that, or Fran about that, over the past year, and so you can just kind of document that. Or if you feel like you're looking at it now and you need to kind of make some adjustments, put those in the narrative too, to areas that you may need to kind of address that you didn't think about at the time that you developed the budget. So just kind of, and if you haven't spent a good chunk of your money that you thought, explain why, or if you spent if you found other sources of money from other maybe grant funds or college funds, let us know about that as well. So the narrative of that should just kind of sketch out or flesh out what's in your budget sheet. You can make changes to your budget if you need to. If they're really kind of minor, within a category, that's fine. Like, instead of 3 faculty stipends, you did 5, or at different amounts. You don't need to worry about that. But if you're moving things from different kind of budget lines, or you're moving, or you need to kind of adjust a significant amount of money, then what I just ask is send me an email with that request, and I'll just say that's fine. I just need some kind of documentation. But for this, you can make that request explicit in your budget narrative, is another way of doing it. So be sure to submit any questions you have about kind of the individual college versus system reports, and then in kind of in the Q&A section. All right, so we're going to go over to the sections now of the report. We're just going to walk through them, and I'll hopefully kind of provide some context if you have any questions about any of them. First is your institutional information, and the thing here is we want to know who you are, like what your role is as the person completing the report. You know, it's going to be a group effort, but someone needs to be in charge of kind of pulling it together and submitting it. So we want to know who that person is and what their role is in the project, and then just let us know on that document if you're a consortium college, if you're part of a kind of system, if you're a research partner, and that's could be a college that is a research partner but not a cost partner, or you could also be a cost partner. So you might check all three of those boxes. We just want to know, give us some context. And then if you could also enter your target OER degrees. Some of you we've talked to in the past year about kind of changing that. Maybe you've thought we're going to do 3 degrees and then you've kind of reined that into 2 or 1. If that has changed, you know, we got to make a note of it within your report if you haven't talked to us about it. But we want to know kind of what your target degrees are. All right, so section A is the project summary. Again, this is what I was talking about about consortium within the consortia within the grantees, to do a kind of a broad overview of your kind of system work. But for everyone else, this is kind of I would say this is probably the last section to complete. Once you've completed all the other sections, it's kind of a compilation of everything else that's in the report, a kind of nice kind of thumbnail sketch idea that we can read over and like an executive summary of a report. Keep it to 2 pages if possible. Just to make it a little bit more manageable for us. And that's not a hard and fast rule, so if you need more, that's great. But again, we want to know what are the highlights, what are the challenges been, your achievements, is the project on track, what contributions the project's made to kind of research knowledge within your campus or broadly. You know, CUNY could certainly talk about the governor's legislation or the governor's funding, or in Texas too. I know there's been some movement there in the state legislature. If you're participating in any other kind of additional research, then we want to know about that. The next section is on planning and implementation. Again, we're talking about really, for many of you, it's been really since August or September that the actual kind of on the ground project work rollout has been happening. You know, we had the kickoff in June. We had some summer planning with the folks who were project leads or administrators, but really faculty didn't get back to campus until late August, early September, and so that's when the real work began. So we want to kind of get an idea of that transition point, right? All that planning that was done almost in the abstract over the summertime to where the rubber hits the road, and how did that go? How is your project planning prepare for the actual rollout that happened? What are some unanticipated things that possibly happened that maybe slowed things down or sped things up? You know, what kind of trainings did you roll out for the folks who are participating in the project? How did it go? What would you have done differently? You know, now that in hindsight, in your planning for kind of what really needed to happen for the rollout. So yeah, that's kind of what we're getting at. This also the kind of the cross-functional team is that, you know, what has that team been like? Have you added to it? Has the membership changed? You know, what's the overview of kind of the summation of kind of your project team and the work that they've been doing? The next section in this first section is on partner support. And I know this is maybe tricky for some, depending on kind of the relationships you have with the partners on this project, including us, but really try to give us a good direct kind of rating of how you felt the level of support you've gotten from ATD, Lumen Learning, CCC OER, and then SRI. SRI, you know, is a little trickier as far as support if you're a research partner versus if you're not. But we really want to know kind of what your level of satisfaction has been and your level of interaction. you can use the notes section really to kind of flesh out any of your ratings. That gives us a better understanding of that. But again, this is going to help all of us partners when we meet to talk about ways of adjusting or expanding some of the services, or maybe thinking differently about what we offer to the grantees for this project over the next year and a half. So there's a support for each. There's a rating, 2 ratings for each section for each partner. Frequency of your institution's interaction and your level of satisfaction. Kind of broad, I know, but again, you can kind of clarify any of these ratings in the notes section. And by the way, these notes sections on your form should expand. If you have any kind of issues, formatting issues, let us know. But you should be able to enter your text into kind of the gray areas. Those are the areas that are fillable, and they should respond to your text that you enter there. But let us know if that's not the case. The next section is on faculty reflection. So with this section, as much as possible, we want to get a sense of kind of broad kind of faculty reflection of the faculty that are working on this project. I know that's really difficult, especially this time of year. This could be, you could pull together a number of faculty to kind of write it together. You could put sections of different faculty's reflections that they've submitted, or you could have maybe a lead faculty kind of collect and generally get the idea or get the thoughts of the faculty team and kind of write up a summary of their reflections. Whatever works best for you, and based on your schedule and who is available to do this. Maybe you've been working on that, ahead of this. Ahead of this report webinar, but really try to give us an idea of kind of the faculty's level of involvement and level of engagement in the project. All right. The next section is on promotion and communication. And this has kind of a number of levels to kind of what this means. But there's kind of internal promotion within your institution. So one way is how did you communicate this initiative and the courses that are available to the students? And kind of what efforts, what did you have kind of formal efforts, or does it word of mouth, or kind of how did you kind of approach that if you did? PR and communications. So this is both kind of communication to your maybe college stakeholders that weren't necessarily directly involved, and also external stakeholders. This is going to be really kind of beneficial also for sharing with other institutions on kind of how best to do this, since oftentimes these kind of communications departments are a bit under-resourced if they're there at all. The next section is, I don't know if I got a screenshot for it. Yeah, there's the next 2 sections in promotion and communication are also conference presentations. So if, have your faculty or project staff done any presentations around this initiative, and what were they? So we just kind of want to know how it's been, kind of what the presence has been of the grantee institutions at conferences around the country, and who's doing these. And we certainly want to encourage more of that in the future, and also encourage colleges to partner together, possibly do co-present. And then the last section in promotion and communication is around kind of project communication. And again, this is almost a kind of a practical question of kind of what's worked for you as far as kind of connecting everyone in this project that you need to connect, and getting the information out to everyone who needs to know need to know. So kind of share kind of what structure maybe you set up, maybe what didn't work, what you had to change or adjust or tweak. So again, this is the idea around kind of promoting and sharing with your stakeholders, both internal and external, and directly with your project team. All right, the next section is on culture change and sustainability. And these are kind of big, maybe 30,000 feet questions, but again, it's really important to start addressing these at this point in the project if you haven't already, to think about this grant less as a kind of a 3-year window and then as a kind of R&D effort for creating an OER degree and making it part of kind of your institutional work. It's tough, but so the first question is around student success, and highlight how your institution, what it's done maybe since the beginning, or what it's starting to do, or what you've kind of evolved into is connecting this work to your student success agenda. What is that agenda, all right? And if you have any links on your website that describe your mission or your student success program, whatever it may be, certainly include those in there. But how do you kind of link this to your strategic institutional goals, which is again really what makes OER degrees kind of tough as opposed to kind of individual OER courses, because you're talking about kind of an institutional effort. I'm sorry, so the first section is around your student success goals. The second section is around how have you connected this OER degree effort to your student success goals. Sorry about that. Let us know kind of what your institution is working on as far as student success goals, and then how are you linking it up to this project, and are you successful at doing that, and what are some of the challenges around that? All right. There's one other category under culture change and sustainability, which is the sustainability section. So how does your institution plan to continue this work? How does it plan to kind of bake it into what you do? Are you looking at implementing some kind of course fee or technology fee? What are the conversations you've had around continuing this work, maybe expanding the sections of courses that you're offering, expanding to additional degree programs? So we want to know kind of what the conversations are at your institution around sustaining this project. Looks like a little bit of left the presentation mode. Can you guys see the slides still? Should be on culture change and sustainability. Okay. Great, thank you. The next section is success stories. Personally, I respond when I'm learning about specifically around education, some kind of initiative, a pilot or research, respond to kind of these personal stories, right? Especially from students. And so we want to hear some kind of success stories at your institution, of anything that you know about how this program has impacted. It could be a student, parent, faculty member, some stakeholder. Maybe it's the community, maybe it's the state, maybe it's a region, maybe some businesses or workforce, whatever it is. And perhaps it's unexpected, but if you can kind of use this space to kind of tell their story, and tell kind of put us there, so we can kind of see how this has impacted kind of on this micro level and this individual level. So these are really powerful, and certainly for some we might follow up and see if there's some ways of kind of amplifying their stories or sharing them further. But again, this is an opportunity. I think it's a good opportunity to kind of personalize this report or kind of around your institution and your community and your specific project. So I'm actually really looking forward to this section more than the others. So for the project narrative, there's 2 other sections. Just the section G is looking ahead. So what are your looking to the next year, really. You can look to the next year, maybe even all the way to the end of kind of the formal grant period. Of what is the expectation of your teams of this OER degree work? Are you kind of hitting a stride, or you kind of feel like you've got a rhythm going, and now it's just a matter of kind of kind of cruising along? Are there upcoming opportunities that you see that you can take advantage of? What are the challenges, maybe ongoing or maybe new challenges that have popped up? And is there a way that ATD or any of its partners or even other grantees can help to help make this next period a success for your institution? So that's a little kind of looking forward in the report. And then section H is really the additional comments, anything that we missed or anything that you want to include that doesn't really fit in the categories that we've included. Then we want to that's a place for you to include them. Right, so that's the project narrative. Let's see, I don't think I have screenshots of the budget narrative. The budget narrative is just 1 page, and again, it's a way of providing context around the budget sheet, which is based on your original budget proposal. So it's got your kind of original proposal and then your actuals within the budget sheet. So it's just kind of letting us see kind of what you spent, what you expected to spend, what you actually spent, and then using the narrative to document any kind of changes or adjustments that you've made, or anything that would give us some kind of explanation or context around your budget. And I talked a little bit already about whether you're individual college or consortium, really however you design that original budget is kind of how you'll approach this report budget. All right. So the best way to actually go to the next slide before I go here. So the deadline's June 30th. So you got about a month to complete this. We ask that you save it in a PDF format. If you could just we have a preferred file naming convention, just helps organize once we get the files. Just where the italicized college is, just enter your institution, and then and the rest would be the same for all the different reports. And once you've done all that, sorry, go back now. There's a portal up at the URL there. It's also in the report where you can go and just include some basic information around who's submitting it, what your title is, if you're part of a consortium, and then you can upload the forms. You should be able to upload multiple forms on this page. You can either drag or drop the files or select them from your computer and upload them and click submit. And you should get a confirmation. You should reach a confirmation page that shows that you're successful in uploading it. Right, now's a chance for questions.
Richard, we have 2. One is in the Q&A from Quill. Okay. And then, so you can see that, correct?
I can, yep.
Okay.
I haven't read it yet, but.
Okay, okay. And then we have one more that was in the chat box from Linda Williams.
Okay, so Quill, if my college is a research partner and they did a long form interview with faculty, should I aim for different faculty members to write the faculty reflection? Are you looking for new perspectives? So I would say if you have that and it's it's okay for that faculty member to share pieces of that, it would be great to hear that. And it really depends on the content of that interview. So if the faculty was it a if it's a lead faculty member who has some kind of contextual understanding of the whole project, or if it's just someone who's working on a course, we'd like to get kind of perspectives from as many faculty as you can, with the understanding that it's a difficult time of year to do that. So I'll make that your call on kind of how to best do that, depending on kind of how that interview went. Hope that makes sense. All right. What's Linda's question? I missed that.
Linda's question is, how can frequency be satisfied? Shouldn't it be a frequency, often, etc.? Linda might want to clarify, but it was about frequency.
Yeah, I think that's if as the kind of the project lead for that, Linda, is more kind of what your expectations were, and certainly you can expand on that in the notes section. There wasn't, for example, some colleges chose not to work with Lumen Learning, so I'm assuming they didn't have a whole lot of expectations of contact except for kind of course verification. But perhaps you had requested for additional trainings, or you contacted them and took them a while to get back. Just kind of use the notes for that. But the kind of rating is just a kind of a general, what's your kind of expectations with that? Let's see, there's another question from Mitch. You may have mentioned this, but will you be sending out the PowerPoint? Yes, I will be sending out the PowerPoint for everyone. And I think Fran sent out kind of an updated fillable copy that I've been using here on the PowerPoint to everyone today. If you're having any issues with the one that was sent out before. Are there any other questions or that I missed? There's a lot talked about, but maybe it's just you guys talking to each other.
Yeah, those are the only questions that were asked in the chat box and the Q&A. Oh, Monica has a question. Can you provide your contact information for the budget changes?
Yes, I'll do that. It's the best way to do it, just in my email, which I posted in the chat. So this is not the last time you'll necessarily hear from us about this. We certainly are available, not just for budget change requests, but if you need to set up some time with Fran or Fran and I to address some things as you're going through this, we're happy to do that. We did set up some appointment schedules the past couple of weeks, and did talk to some colleges about this and other things, and we're happy to continue to do that as we can. So you're welcome to reach out to us if you need to. Let's see what Teresa. Hi, Teresa. Our faculty have been off for more than a month. Will there be opportunity to update the report when they come back online for the August start? Well, I guess what we'd like. I mean, if you can at all possible, include as much kind of faculty perspective for the past year as you can. If there's something useful in there that you found that you missed because the faculty have been out, then you can certainly send us an update. Better late than never, but try as much as possible to kind of reflect the faculty perspectives as you understand them, if it's not firsthand in the report itself. Wait a minute or two to see if there's any other questions. All right, well, you guys know how to reach us. Couple of things, we did record this session, so we'll share out the link in case there's someone at your institution that was able to come today that you think might find it useful to kind of go through the webinar. I know it's really exciting to do that. And can certainly share that, and then I'll share the PowerPoint as it is. It's just mostly screenshots of the document, but happy to do that. And if there's not any other questions, I want to thank you for your time today and for your questions, and for also your great work on this project. It's really kind of impressive, the amount of work that's happened and the amount of success you guys have had, and the way the conversation is changing really kind of nationally around this issue, I think, due to this initiative and your work and your success. So it really is much appreciated, and so hopefully this is an opportunity to kind of reflect that in this report, and also reach out to us to see kind of what we can do better and how we can support you better and how we can make this even more successful. So again, thank you. Have a good rest of your Thursday and a good upcoming weekend. And again, don't hesitate to contact us if you have additional questions. And we'll be back with the PowerPoint slides from the recording link for you guys soon. Take care.